Hi, Kato-san. Welcome to TDK Ventures DX Week 2023. It is really our honor to have you as a speaker today in the conference. For the audience, my name is Hanwei Huang. I'm an investment director with TDK Ventures. I actually just landed in Tokyo a few hours ago in the morning. We kick off DX Week on Monday in Palo Alto, where a lot of great discussions around computing and connectivity. Now we are moving to Tokyo for another great session around another good topic of the future of mobility. Kato-san, would you tell a little bit more about yourself and what are the exciting projects you are working on?
Sure. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this opportunity. So my name is Shinpei. I'm a founder and a CEO, CDO of TFO, which is Tokyo-based startup. So we develop autonomous driving software by open source, which everybody can access and make it modification to build their own product. So our kind of vision is to enable everybody to build autonomous vehicles or intelligent vehicles to create a big market.
Yeah, and I also heard that you're also a university professor and you run a nonprofit organization. Would you share a little bit more about your work over there?
Sure. So I teach computer science in the University of Tokyo. And we also have a research lab. Actually, my startup has been a spin-out project from the university project 7 years ago. So we believe that the value of universities in Japan also becoming more and more significant in the sense that they actually create startup ecosystems. And I also take a chairman role at the Autoware Foundation, which is, yes, as you said, non-profit organization. We developed software project called Autoware. This is open source, and as I mentioned, everybody can access the software and can just use it to build their own autonomous vehicles, or even they can leverage it for education or research. So open source can also accelerate the future of mobility as more people can be involved.
Yes, yes. So as a recognized expert in autonomous drive, how do you see the DX mobility will change the way people live and how the new technology and new business models going to emerge with the rise of autonomous drive?
Yeah, that's a big question. I can tell at least it can change the way how people spend time and space. Using this kind of time and space, there will be many business opportunities. Maybe I can't tell each individual business opportunity, but what I can tell is definitely DX or mobility will change how people spend time and space.
So you mentioned that DX will help to change. Would you be more specific about what kind of DX is needed to reach this kind of, you call it like ideal mobility?
So in the corresponding market, say mobility or intelligent vehicles, so automation is definitely the first priority because automation will enable people to use their time and space on a different things. And what often said in the market is user experience. So automation creates time and space, but how you actually use this time and space highly depends on the user experience, say such as kind of interface, or recently ChatGPT is a hot topic, so how you interact with computers is a very interesting topic. Also, if things become more software defined, then I think DX can change life cycle. So when you order the car, today you still have to wait for several months, but DX, they can accelerate or kind of change the magnitude of time scale. Like maybe you can just put some button on the website, then you can get some mobility in a week. So I think DX can change even the time scale in the market.
Yes. So what I'm hearing is automation, user experience, and DX will really accelerate the adoption of the advanced mobility technology. Kato-san, you mentioned a couple times about open source. Why do you think open source plays such an important role in autonomous drive?
So open source means a lot. From one single point, open source, as I mentioned, enable everybody to be involved in the market. If such an super fantastic intelligent vehicle exists, but if you cannot access the technology, then you can't contribute to this ecosystem. So open source is a way for everybody to be involved in the market growth. This will eventually create more valuable product. If you stick with some particular company, if this company is really great, then you will see good product. But if you disclose technology and everybody in the world can contribute to the growth of technology, then resulting technology is more and more mature or high quality or more sophisticated. So that's the key value that open source can provide. And if you look at the business prospect, using open source can save your time, can save your money, and actually maintain the quality. So if QCD, quality, cost, and delivery, if you try to increase quality, I think you sometimes compromise cost and delivery. But open source is a way to actually achieve all three factors at once. So we believe that having open source, disclosing it, everybody, and they help us to build the market, and we can provide high quality, low cost, and fast delivery for all customers. That's the way I think about the open source.
Very insightful and very exciting. And one of the topics that back in Monday in Palo Alto, we talk a lot about cybersecurity, right? With the open source approach of building the autonomous vehicles, do you have a concern about cybersecurity? If yes, and how would you handle it?
So cybersecurity or any technology issues, it matters for everybody, not only for open source. Whatever you build your system based on open source or not, then you have to think about cybersecurity anyway. So open source is the way for you to imagine climbing mountain. It's just a fifth station. Open source is the way for you to climb up to the fifth station halfway. But you still have to build your own things on top of open source. You never use open source as is. Always you leverage open source to build your system and finally go to the summit. And this second half of the way, on top of open source, you have cybersecurity, function safety, and maybe quality issues. All these things, I think it doesn't really matter if you use open source or not, because always your product has to think about cybersecurity and these relevant technology issues.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. I feel like open source is really one of the key strategy of Tier 4. And what is your go-to-market strategy if you take this as one of your core competence?
Yes, that's frequently asked question about open source. So my answer is, so from customer prospect, it doesn't really matter if deliverable is based on open source or not. They all care about quality, cost, and delivery. customers never care about if it is built on top of open source or not. So this means if we have open source, we can save time to build our product from scratch, because other partners can also build this fifth station quality. So all we have to do is to focus on the last stage of production, which, of course, thanks to open source, there will be other companies who do the same thing as what we do, but that's okay. That's how ecosystem is, exists. Never a single company can dominate the market.
Yeah.
So open source is a baseline, and we're happy to see other companies also build their product on top of this open source, and we compete in the market, but this will enable the market to grow, because constructive competition is a key for the market to grow. So for us, open source is just saving time, saving resources to reach out to the summit of the development and the production. So open source doesn't actually decrease anything from our point of view. It always increases something, like saving time, saving resources. And now it's up to us how to deliver the final product to the customers.
I mean, I can totally see the benefit of open source, but I always think that there's going to be some risk or potential pitfalls. I don't mind if you would like to share some of the insight.
So again, if you develop software, you will always encounter the same issues, like software bugs or cybersecurity or safety issues. Again, I strongly believe that these issues don't really, matter only to open source. It's a whole software development process. Open source, something is more difficult than other closed software development is that you may have unlimited number of contributors to, say, add component to the software. This should be managed. So open source is not the freedom. Open source is very managed. So that's why we have another organization, Otware Foundation, which is a non-profit organization to manage this software development so as not to allow unknown people to push some unknown components to the software. So Otware Foundation is responsible for certain quality of software development using, say, tools, schemes, processes, which all very traditional when you develop software. So it's just open to the public. But the way we develop software is really conventional. So we always care about security, safety, and quality, things that typical software companies care about, we also care about. So eventually, open source and closed source have the same issues, so which we, of course, have to address before we deliver the customers. But I don't really think that open source, by nature, has a unique problem. Software development has some problem, which open source software also has.
It's not just you, but the whole open source community.
That's my belief.
Yeah, it is very true. So I know that you and your team are developing some very interesting technology and platform. And from your website says that the WebAuto, which is the product, is a cloud native but edge intense DevOps platform. Would you dig a little bit deeper of what does that mean and how did you do it?
Sure. So DevOps stands for development and operation, tightly integrated. This is a key component to make software be more high quality. So if we don't have this platform, then everybody just downloads open source and use their local environments and develop or add some new features, then push it back to the open source repository, which very difficult to manage. So we provide the common platform, which is called Web.auto, including testing tools or monitoring tools or CI/CD, which is kind of software development environment, all integrated. So anybody who download open source can actually work on top of the same platform in order to keep certain quality of software development, even though they add new features. Without this platform, as you mentioned, open source, because anybody can actually be involved. So very difficult to manage the quality of software. So Web.auto is a platform to keep the quality of software among the whole contributors. So it's a platform for development and operation.
Yeah. So I'm based in Silicon Valley, and I see in the US there's a wave of startups in the autonomous drive space emerging. But looking at Japan, we have a number of world leaders in the automobile industry. But how do you see the Japanese entrepreneurial ecosystems in the automobile industry?
Automobile still very early phase, as we don't see yet a large number of startups, who reach out to the stage where we are. So we expect more startups to be more large scale, but I think it still takes time. First thing, maybe automobile market is yet closed. So it's very difficult to access traditional structure of manufacturing. Even Tier 4 is struggling to work with traditional automakers. It's getting better and better, but still, culture difference or the scale of business is also, there are 10 billion companies, we still start up. So sometimes kind of difficult to align. But for us, because we are 7 years old, so we have established really good relationship with automakers. But for most of other startups, I think they should also struggle to be kind of aligned with the traditional market.
Yeah, because I can see that the kind of work you are doing, the company you are leading is really a pioneer in Japan, very unique company as far as we can see from Silicon Valley. The session gonna start very soon, and I'm sure you're gonna share more insight in the panel. I will ask the last question: what advice you would give to Japanese entrepreneurs in the year of 2023?
Sure. So Japanese startup ecosystem is growing, so there will be opportunities for whole entrepreneurs. I believe that my advice is that I really want them to follow the most basic standard, like define missions, define visions, define value. Then I think most of the things is very unpredicted. But as far as you have vision, mission, and value, then I think your company can survive in the competition. So my suggestion, just to follow the most basic standard of startups.
Thank you very much. Yeah, really appreciate you sharing your insight.
Thank you.